Will you let us know, Julia, when we're ready?
We've just got a few joining, Judy.
Thank you. Perhaps if everybody could mute, that creates a good platform for us.
I think that's all right now, Judy.
Thank you. Well, a very warm welcome to everybody. We've been talking about English summers and Sydney winters, and warm welcome to you all. It's great to see so many here again. And as we said, the sense of joyful anticipation, all the faces looking towards, looking out, and I'm sure Father John, all those years ago, writing about the community of love, would see this very much as a manifestation of that. Tonight we have prayer leaders Jane from the UK and Anne from Australia. So I will hand to them to lead us in prayer.
O God, come to our assistance.
O Lord, make haste to help us.
If anyone, whilst engaged in any work, in the kitchen, in the cellar, in serving, in the bakery, in the garden, at any art or work, in any place whatever, committeth a fault, or breaketh, or loseth anything, or transgresseth in any way whatever, and he doth not forthwith come before the abbot and the community, and of his own accord confess his offence and make satisfaction, and it becometh known through another, let him be subjected to a greater correction. If, however, the cause of the offence is secret, let him disclose it to the abbot alone, or to his spiritual superiors, who know how to heal their own wounds, and not expose and make public those of others. Rule of Benedict, chapter 46.
Heavenly Father, open our hearts to the silent presence of the Spirit of your Son. Lead us into that mysterious silence where your love is revealed to all who call. Ma, Ra, Na, Tha. Come, Lord Jesus.
Thank you, Anne and Jane, for preparing us for our time of meditation. Our speaker on Benedict's Well today is Geert van Mulderen. And perhaps some of you know Geert, and we've had the lovely introduction from JM, and also recently been introduced to Geert in the Meditatio newsletter. He's going to be speaking to us tonight from wound to wonder, dealing with inner pain contemplatively, which will be of great interest to us all, I'm sure. So an oblate from Belgium, a teacher, and a lover of silence, it looks like, Geert, from a child where you said this was very natural for you, and then as you're in your youth, finding yourself at Taizé and feeling very at home there. And then, of course, coming back, that flame in the heart that was lit at Taizé, you find it alive again when you meet Christian meditation later in your life. So thank you for being with us, and we look forward to hearing your presentation.
Thank you, Judy, and hello, everybody. Thank you for the warm welcome and for inviting me to share here in this spiritual family what I've learned over the past 40 years about how to deal with inner pain in a contemplative way. And I wouldn't be a teacher if I wouldn't share a PowerPoint with you. Voila. From wound to wonder. Well, why is this so important to know how to deal with inner pain and inner wounds? In fact, Saint Benedict, he advises us to do that. In chapter 46, the last paragraph, I read it once again. He says, if, however, the cause of the offense is secret, let him disclose it to the abbot alone or to his spiritual superiors, who know how to heal their own and others' wounds, and not expose and make public those of others. So Saint Benedict makes a special link. He says, when you make a mistake and you yourself do not know the reason for it, the offense or the reason for the offense is secret. This points to an inner wound. And this can only be properly guided to someone who knows how to deal with their own wounds. And how we get involved in this chapter. I suppose that many of you have a responsibility in one way or another for a community. Your family, your meditation group, or your voluntary work. And so it is for us a very interesting question whether we can deal with our own wounds and inner pain. For if we are not able to heal our own wounds, almost by definition, we will injure others who make a mistake. We will project our unhealed wounds onto him or her. We will punish the person unnecessarily. We lack patience. We become angry or indifferent, especially since we do not take responsibility for our own feelings and for our own inner pain. So the importance of dealing with our own inner pain can therefore hardly be underestimated. It is essential for living together in a school for love, a community of love. That is why Saint Benedict mentions it in his rule. And how get I involved in this chapter 46? Well, I went myself through a difficult period between my 20s and 40s. And the challenges was to deal first of all with a life-threatening illness, and then also with a painful divorce. I struggled with a lot of anxiety, depressive feelings, low self-esteem, and little self-confidence. Inner pain, which I always experienced as an existential pain, a spiritual pain, a real dark night. And in that darkness, I also committed faults to my children, to my parents, to my pupils as a teacher, but I didn't really know why. I was one of those people from chapter 46. But during that period, I was also given pearls of grace. I can truly say that God was good to me, although I didn't see that at all during that whole period. I discovered healthy food that could support my body. I went to a therapist to learn to embrace and to love my wounded ego. I received so much friendship that it broke through my isolation. I learned how to meditate, and this reconnected me with the source of being. And I also came across this little book. It was written by Ria Weyens. I suspect she is here with us. And this little book describes a contemplative way of dealing with inner pain. The title in Dutch is Van wonde naar verwondering, hoe omgaan met innerlijke pijn. In English, From Wound to Wonder. And because it's such a powerful and fruitful way of dealing with inner pain, I don't want to withhold this contemplative part from you. As a matter of fact, it is very complementary to all the other pearls of grace I've mentioned. And I also will make the explicit link with our meditation practice. So first of all, let us learn from Jesus, the archetype of the wounded healer and also our healer. We read the short gospel story of the healing of the bent woman. On a Sabbath, Jesus was teaching in one of the synagogues, and a woman was there who had been crippled by a spirit for 18 years. She was bent over and could not straighten up at all. When Jesus saw her, he called her forward and said to her, "Woman, you are set free from your infirmity." Then he put his hands on her, and immediately she straightened up and praised God. This short story was beautifully painted by Lucy de Souza. She is an artist from India, and her 3 paintings can be viewed in a pastoral center in Hasselt in Belgium. You see it on the right side. I show you all these 3 paintings for a moment, and then afterwards I go into detail about them. The first painting. Second. And the end of the gospel story. Those 3 paintings, they represent the 3 stages of the dealing with inner pain. So the first stage, gently allowing wounds to come into the light. In the first picture, we see a woman bent double under a burden, which she has been carrying for 18 years. All she can see is a small space of ground around her feet. She has no purpose, no direction in life. She's lonely, enclosed and imprisoned in herself. And unable to straighten up because of the big rucksack, she feels powerless and limited. All she can do is stretch out her hand, begging for help. We can also look at the first picture in the light of one of the basic insights of psychotherapy, namely the insight that inner pain is often caused by repression. According to psychotherapy, everyone carries a rucksack full of past memories on their back. Most of the time, we are not consciously aware of them, especially the painful experiences from our childhood. These are often deeply repressed in our unconscious and mostly beyond the reach of memory. But what we repress oppresses us. Why do we push away painful emotions so quickly? Well, it's a survival mechanism. We put away pain and discomfort to meet the expectations of others. Many people only show their strong side out of a subconscious desire for attention and appreciation. But if you always keep your vulnerability hidden, you can eventually become burned out. Everyone comes to you, you carry and help others, but who helps you? Who carries you? One day our survival mechanisms will begin to interfere with real life. Repressed pain comes to the surface. We enter a crisis. Now, allowing the healing process to happen is easier said than done. Everything inside us wants to escape, to deny, or control the unpleasant. How can we allow the process to take place? Well, the first step is to stop running away and to get to know the shadow. This stage consists in gently allowing the wounds to surface. It's all about confronting reality, being open to what is, to see the truth of each moment. Jesus said, "Know the truth, and the truth will make you free." So the crucial word here is attention. Open attention to what surfaces in our inner self and demands attention and care. If we do not do this, the pain remains repressed and will continue to direct our behavior in an unconscious way. And then at times, like I did, we will make mistakes without knowing how and why. Now, this attention is not selfish attention. Rather, it is learning the kind of attention God has for us. Gentleness. Gentleness is the courage to touch what is painful and taboo with tenderness and care. It means touching darkness with a God's eyes and a tear full of light. See on the right side of the picture. It is bearing your wounds with compassion. It is learning great mildness with yourself, just as God is mild with us. So it is not selfish, it is contemplative. And only when we can do this, we will also be generous to others. Generous to ourselves means to be generous to others. This is about the first stage. Now, the transition to the second stage is actually in the gesture on the right. Powerless to stand up, the woman raises her hand in a gesture that begs for help. The power of surrender enables the woman to rise up. In the second scene, we see the woman straighten up and stand erect. The masks behind her represent her shadow. She no longer rejects her shadow. She no longer fights it. She is aware of it. She allows it. At the same time, it is important to notice that she is not turned towards the masks. She has turned towards the light, towards the divine presence of love. So the second step is letting go. It is an inner work. It means that I learn to take distance from emotions by not identifying with them. This attitude, however, requires a transformation in our way of thinking. Rather than thinking, oh, here's my fear again, it's always the same, it will never go away, we can learn to say, yes, this is fear, I recognize it. And then I realize that the fear is only one part of my inner reality. I become more detached from all the comments in my head, the panic-inducing thoughts that only feed the fear. I come to be more detached from the anxious self. Anxiety will not disappear immediately, but there will be more space and peace in my thinking, and so that the anxiety will soften. The benefit is that my inner pain becomes clearer, and the pain can feel more sharp at times, but it's more clear then. And there is more. There is the divine help. This painting is about an encounter between the woman and Jesus. For the artist, Jesus is the embodiment of pure compassion. Like a servant, he wears a linen cloth on his shoulder. He also takes entirely the color of the tear from the previous scene. Tenderly, Jesus bows to the woman and touches her hand. However, he does not pull her up as if she were a powerless victim. No, with his gentle presence, he awakens in her the power of the resurrection. When Jesus meets her, he doesn't say, I will deliver you. No, he said, you are set free from your infirmity. You are already redeemed. And then he He thus touches her and she straightens up. You are already redeemed. This is one of the essences of Jesus' teaching. We are blessed because we are made in the image of God. There is that holy place in our heart, an infinite space where we are already free, where we are already whole. Jesus points to this place of redemption, this deeper reality, the true self. Now, in the right corner of the painting, we see two hands. The artist represents the mystery of existence as open hands. And from these open hands, as from a spring, flows living water. The woman also opens her hands. She gives herself away. She allows herself to be held. She allows herself to be touched, so that she ends up in the flow of divine life. And so in the third picture, we see the woman dancing. She has risen and is celebrating her liberation with others. The artist represents the woman in the open petals of a lotus flower. Life has broken through and it's flowing outwards. It's for us also a sign of authentic healing when we grow in peace and joy. The healed woman has now become a woman of hope. Having carried her own wounds with compassion, she herself has now become a wounded healer, a source of healing for others. I now want to make the connection to our meditation practice and how the mantra has its place in this process. In the first scene, we see the outstretched hand. I think this is the way Saint Cassian experienced the mantra. O God, come to my assistance. O Lord, make haste to help me. Here he says that the mantra, the formula, expresses everything that a human being can desire, and that is before and beyond all words and thoughts. With this, he indicates that God's love offers the deepest healing possible. The one who meditates places himself at the deepest bottom of his own inner self and puts himself in the middle of his own wounds and inner pain. In fact, the meditator asks that God's love may reach into one's own hell. In the second scene, we also recognize the mantra. It is located there. You know, the word of the mantra means protection of the mind. And during meditation, it provides a healthy separation from the many distractions and scatterings that come from our ego. Through this protection, the encounter with the healing power of Jesus' Spirit can take place. Through the mantra, we definitely enter the sphere of influence of the healing light, without our mind and ego knowing how this works. And in the third scene, we recognize another aspect of the mantra. When we say it with full attention, we are in oneness with our mantra, and at the same time in oneness with the divine light that is present in us and around us. The mantra is a small gesture through which we accept our own creation as light, as a child of God. On the rhythm of our mantra, we dance in God's light. This is the wonder. You would dance for a lesser reason. Thank you all, and perhaps we see each other in Bonneville.
Thank you, Gert, for leading us so beautifully through your own journey, your painful journey, and beautiful images that are powerful, that I think will stay with us. The hands, the masks, the standing up, beginning to stand up, and the dancing, finishing with the dancing. Yes, beautiful, beautiful images. Thank you, Gert. We look forward to seeing you in Bonneville.
I hope so.
I hope so. Yes, God willing. We come back to Jane and Anne, who will, oh, I'm sorry, before that, Sandy, I'm very sorry. We have the joy of Sandy from Trinidad, Sandy Bancochia from Trinidad, who's got up at 4 a.m. to share with us this morning. So we thank her for that. And we are yours, Sandy. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. And Kurt, what an absolutely amazing presentation. Thank you so much for that. It was really beautiful. The images were amazing. Well, my journey to becoming a meditator began with a wilderness experience. I had given up my professional career to stay home with my 4 children, and my ego was at its lowest. There was so much emotional turmoil, and my search for peace led to my journey to meditation. My spiritual director introduced me to Bede Griffith's writing, and I was fascinated by his work. And so I began to look for meditators any and everywhere. Trinidad is multicultural, and we have many religions that live in harmony with each other. And so I practiced meditation with the Hindus, the Buddhists, my yoga classmates, in fact, just about anyone. However, there was a yearning in me to find a place for meditation in my Catholic spirituality. And so, while surfing the net, I came upon Father Lawrence Freeman. It was a wow moment for me. At last, here was someone that I could truly identify with and feel safe. And so the romance started, and it lasted for a few years. It was absolutely amazing. But come down from the mountain we must. Some experiences we seek out, and some we undergo or suffer. In 2017, I lost my son tragically. My spirituality, my faith in God, my life was shattered. There was a total dismantling of my story. They had taken away my God. And all that was left was the emptiness, the loss of my child, the loss of the person I used to be, the loss of my God, a big, black, empty space. And so this silence was all I had to hold on to. The void, the empty space, my nothing time. They say, my no thing God. St. John of the Cross says, in the dark night, the secret essence of the soul knows the truth and is calling out to God. And so I am still learning to live in this space and finding out that it is indeed habitable. Learning to live with my collapsing stories and to understand what he meant by do not hold on to me, do not cling. For me, meditation has been like finding the pearl of great price. Having had to give up everything, my son, my image of God, my old self, I have found the pearl, and now I am moved to share it with the world. I lead a meditation group in my community and have also reached out to the island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where I was in exile for a few months during the pandemic. My country's borders were closed. And I have also, on my return, decided to become a Benedictine novitiate. And I was recently initiated because for me, here is where my soul finds peace. So thank you so much for allowing me this space to share my story with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you for being so naked to share that time of loss and darkness, and to say to us all, this place is habitable, and there is peace still. That's a very great gift to us all. Thank you. So now it is time to return to Anne and Jane, who will finish the prayer, and then Julia will close the session.
May the divine assistance remain with us always.
And with our absent brothers and sisters. Amen.
And it just remains now for me to close this morning's session. And what a truly moving and wonderful session we've had this morning. Thank you for Jane and Anne for leading us in prayer, and be it for that wonderful, wonderful teaching that you gave us. As humans, we're all wounded. So I'm quite sure that you spoke to everyone's heart this morning. I know you certainly did to mine. And thank you, Sandy, for sharing most movingly your journey and your pain. And thank you for that. It was a real privilege to listen to you. And thank you to everybody who's been with us this morning. It's time now for us to part for another week. And I hope you have a really good week. And we look forward to seeing you all again next week. So God bless everybody. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. God bless.
God bless you all.
God bless everybody. Take care.
Thank you. God
Thank
bless.
you.
Thank
God
you.
bless everyone. Stay healthy.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you, everyone. So beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gert. Julia, I think that's it. No,
Yeah.
no one. No more chat coming up.
You got them all.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you all very much. God bless.
God bless.
Thank you for the technical support. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Gert. Beautiful slides, beautiful.